The Everlasting Now, Chapter 5. Mama dropped me off at the softball field across the street from our church. She was taking Swan to a little girl's birthday party. "You can walk home when practice is over," said Mama, "or you can wait and ride home with us." I'd rather walk. If I waited, I'd have to smile and be polite to all those ladies at the party. Practice was miserable, and I was too. I'm not that great a ball player, and the whole team knows it. I only went because there aren't any other kids out where we live, so softball practice for the church team is about the only time I see anybody I know, except for real church, and that didn't count. Once in a while, I'd see a friend at the picture show when I had a dime to buy a ticket. That didn't happen often, and it didn't do any good to ask for money unless you earned it. There wasn't enough to go around, and that's the truth. No matter what you ask for, the answer is always, "We're living in the Depression." The house was empty when I got home. It was Wednesday and Lily's afternoon off. I was sitting on the back steps when Champion came around the side of the house. When he first came to stay with Lily and Jesse, Lily wouldn't let him come to our house at all. She was afraid that since he's colored and I'm white, some folks wouldn't like it if we were friends. It sounded kind of silly to me. Besides, Lily's the part of the family. Champion's her nephew. Only difference for me was I'd never had a colored friend before. But Mama said it wasn't anyone's business what we did. That was the first time I'd known Mama to be dead wrong about anything. As it turned out, it seemed to be most everybody's business. Champion sat on the steps next to me. "Know what?" I said. "What?" "Softball stinks, and I don't think they want me on the church team." Coach Spellman didn't say that, but he called me over and said, "It's no use, Sayer. You gotta move your feet. Don't just stand in the outfield. Try to catch the ball." I didn't tell him half the time I can't even see the confounded ball till it's practically in my face. I'm no good at sports. "I can show you how to catch," said Champion. "I'm a pro. Come on, get your ball and glove." I was soon to learn that he considered himself a pro at most things. He pitched the ball to me time after time, and time after time I missed it. In the afternoon heat, we were soon drenched with sweat. Thousands of gnats swarmed around my eyes and ears. Champion kept pitching, and I kept missing. After the last missed pitch, he called out, "Hold it!" Walking slow, he came across the yard and stood directly in front of me. "Can you see me?" he asked. "Sure, I can see you." "Okay," he said, going back a little further. "Now can you?" "I can see you," I said. "It's the dang ball I can't see." "Squinch up your eyes," he said. "I'm going to throw it." He took a few steps back, wound up, pitched, and hit me square in the head. "I think you need glasses," he said, helping me to my feet. I already figured that out, but we didn't have money for glasses. Besides, it wasn't that bad. Mostly, I just couldn't see things flying through the air at me. We went to the kitchen for cold lemonade, then took our glasses out to the shade of the front porch. Sammy Linton's pa was walking down the road in front of the house. He looked our way, then quick turned his head like he didn't see us. I know he did, though, 'cause he looked back a couple times like he was checking us out or something. He's strange. When we got down the road, I kind of wondered where he was going. Town's the other way. "He looks like an old scarecrow," I said. "His son Sammy was in my class at school, and I like him. But old man Linton is weird and mean. He's even mean to his own son." "You got any cookies to go with this lemonade?" Champion asked. "I don't know," I said. "Let's go see." Not long after that, Mama asked how come I wasn't going to softball practice anymore. "Mr. Spellman asked me about you," she said. I told her I got tired of it, and I wasn't any good anyhow. "It's Champions who's good at softball," I said. "But he can't play on the team, 'cause he didn't go to my church and 'cause he's colored." Mama said to do what I wanted about the softball team. If I didn't want to play, then to heck with it. I'm getting to do lots of new things since Champion came to visit. Before, I didn't know much about fishing, and neither did he. Now, his grandpa, Jesse Luther, is teaching us how. Jesse's favorite fishing spot is upstream in the piney woods. He likes to use fat, green catawaba worms for bait. We pick 'em up off the catawaba tree out back of our house. At least, Jesse and I pick 'em. Champion won't touch one. I even have to bait his hook for him. He doesn't like anything that crawls except maybe lizards. At least I'm not scared of worms. I'm kind of scared of Lily, though. If you're not going to use the worms right away, you have to keep him cool. She has a pure hissy fit if she finds some in the icebox. They do stink. Another thing Jesse's taught us is how to catch a snake. Not that I ever wanted to. I hate snakes. One day he told us he needed a king snake to put in the barn to kill mice and other snakes. He said we could go with him if we didn't get in the way. Fat chance of that. We tagged along because we didn't think he'd find one. Jesse started out across his back pasture with a crocker sack over his arm. Down by the pasture fence, a tallow tree had been struck by lightning and had fallen, its branches stuck up in the air like skeleton fingers. Easing over to the tree, Jesse motioned us to be quiet. A big gray snake with reddish-orange blotches down its back was wrapped tight around the dead branch. Moving slow, Jesse reached over and broke off the branch at the bottom. He brought the snake back to where we were standing. "Holy moly!" said Champion. "Will it bite?" I asked. "No," said Jesse, "it's a rat snake. But one of you has to hold the sack while I drop him in." Meanwhile, that old snake was looking around and didn't seem to like what he saw. Champion was already backing off. I could see he wasn't going to be any help, so I said I'll do it. Holding the rough sack open, I closed my eyes. I felt the snake drop to the bottom. Jesse quick tied a knot at the top of the sack so it couldn't escape. When I opened my eyes, Champion was running across the pasture. He flew like the wind. He could run like a pro, too. "Look at him go," said Jesse. "Look at that boy go. He might grow up to be the new Jesse Owens." Dusty told me at the Olympic Games in Germany, old Hitler got so mad when Jesse won, he stomped out of the stadium, I said. Guess he didn't want an American to win. "He didn't want an American Negro to win," said Jesse with a grin. Chapter 6. One morning Mama said she'd give Champion and me a dime each if we cut the grass. "It just looks awful," she said. "I'd be embarrassed for anyone to see it." That was something new. I almost never got paid to cut grass. We were happy to be getting paid for anything, and there wasn't much we wouldn't do for a dime. We took turns pushing the lawnmower, but it was hard work on account of that sorry thing. You'd push, hit something in the grass, and get poked in the stomach. I liked to mow it in straight lines, but Brother liked circles best. Mama came out to look at it when we were through. "It's certainly different," she said, giving us our money. We had enough to go to the picture show to see the new Tarzan movie. The Roxy movie theater was one of the few places in town still open for business. Mama said because things were so bad, folks needed to forget their worries even for a little while, so they went to the picture show and pretended things were better. I know I sure loved it. Lily told us what to do when we got there, as if I didn't know. I'd been going to that picture show since I was a little. But what she was saying was what to do now. "It's different this time, brother," she said. "If you are all going to the picture show, you each go up to the ticket window by yourself. Don't go up together, you understand? Act like you don't know each other. Get your ticket and go in by yourselves. You can meet up afterwards." Things sure got complicated when Champion and I became friends, and it's just 'cause one of us is white and the other is colored. It doesn't make a particle of sense. I know this sounds dumb, but there are things I never noticed before, like separate water fountains in schools and coloreds having to sit in the balcony at the picture show. It made me feel like I'd been asleep. Champion and I already knew we couldn't sit together. He had to sit in the balcony with the coloreds, while I sat downstairs. I would have liked to sit upstairs so I could watch folks better, but it wasn't allowed. We saw a Bugs Bunny cartoon where Bugs had a mustache and stomped around like old Hitler, giving a Nazi salute. Then the Pathy newsreel came on showing Jesse Owens getting his gold medals at the Olympics. I remembered what Jesse said. They didn't want an American Negro to win. Nazis stink in my opinion. The heavyweight championship of the world flashed across the street. There were boxing clips of Joe Louis and James Braddock, the contenders for the throne. The audience clapped when Joe Louis came on because he was from Alabama. We saw Joe Louis at his training camp with his manager Chappie Blackburn and James Braddock at his training camp. Then the movie came on and we watched Tarzan and Jane and Boy living in a treehouse in the jungle. Cheetah, the family chimpanzee, was there too. When the show was over, I went across the street to wait for Champion. It was late afternoon and it was still hot. I sure could have used an ice cream cone, but I didn't have any more money. When the sheriff rode by in his Ford, I turned around and looked in the window of the dime store, pretending I didn't see him. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Mr. Linton walking down the alley next to the picture show. No matter what he's doing, he looks like he's hiding something. He gives me the creeps. I saw the sheriff's car reflected in the window as he stopped to pick up Mr. Linton. I was hoping he was getting arrested, but it didn't look like it. When Champion came out of the picture show, I motioned to him to stay where he was. I didn't want the sheriff to see us together. When the Ford moved on, we waited till it was way down the street. Then we started to walk home. "That's the man you gotta be careful of," I said. "I know," he said. "Aunt Lily told me about him. "This is a crazy town," he said. "I don't know many whites in Detroit, but it ain't as bad as this." We talked about the championship fight that was coming up soon. "You like Joe Louis?" Champion asked. "Sure," I said. "Everyone likes Joe Louis." "He came to my school in Detroit," he said. "Did not." "Did too. Duffield Elementary. The teachers let us out to class to go see him. Joe walked down the hall giving out presents." I couldn't believe he'd seen Joe Louis in person. "Are you telling me the truth?" "Cross my heart," he said. "I'm an expert on Joe Louis. For instance, his real name is Joe Louis Barrow, but when he filled out the papers for his first amateur fight, he wrote so big he couldn't fit his whole name on the card. Joe Louis is his professional name." "I know that," I said. I didn't, but I said I did. "Did you know he was born over in the next country?" "Yeah," he said. "Aunt Lily told me. He used to be real poor." "Now he's a hero," I said. "Well, just don't try to make him for your hero," said Champion. "He's one of my heroes, along with Mr. Edwards. I've been liking Joe for a long time." "That's the problem," he said. "The whites want to take him for their hero. He belongs to us." "To us who?" "To the coloreds," said Champion. "He's the best hero we got, besides Jesse Owens." "Well, you can share him, can't you?" "I guess," he said. "I got a secret about him." "What is it?" "I can't tell you," he said. "It's a secret." "Will you tell me sometime?" "Yeah, maybe," he said. It was only a week until the big fight. Most folks didn't even get to see them. They listened to them on the radio, but even listening wasn't always easy. Like everything else during the Depression, radios were scarce. Folks didn't have money to buy radios, or much else for that matter. We were lucky to have the small radio in the kitchen, and the Grundig console that had been my grandfather's. Some folks had to leave home to find a radio to listen to. There was one at Mr. Harper's store, and he stayed open late on fight nights so folks could sit in the store and listen. "Whites can sit in the store and listen," said Lily. "Coloreds have to sit or stand outside near a window." That sure surprised me. I've been going to Harper's Goods and Feed since I was little. The outside walls have signs advertising Red Man Chewing Tobacco, Dr. Pepper, Two Bros Snuff, and Prince Albert Tobacco. Inside the store, they sell lard, canned food, yard goods, animal feed, sugar cane, and most anything else you need. I'd always liked Mr. Harper, but he wasn't being fair about that radio. One afternoon, while Mama and Lily were busy upstairs, I sneaked into the hall to use the telephone. I held a handkerchief over the receiver to disguise my voice and called Mr. Harper's store. "Do you have Prince Albert in a can?" "Yes, we do," said Mr. Harper. "Well, you must let him out. He can't hear the radio in there like some other folks." I hung up, then heard a noise behind me. Lily was standing on the stairs. She walked on down the hall and right past me like she didn't see me. I believe she saved me a lot of trouble with Mama. June 22nd, 1937 was the night of the big fight. Our boarders would be staying with us that night, so Mama decided to have a championship party. The only other railroad man in town was Mr. Dupree, the station master. Even at the smallest station, the depot agent was expected to look after everything to do with trains and keeping customers happy. Mama asked me to take the invitation down to him to see if he could join us. The railroad depot was my favorite building in town. Painted dark red with white trim, it had a neat garden on the side away from the rails. The platform smelled of creosote and of sawdust burning slow from the sawmill. The station master's office seemed to hold all the secrets of the universe. It was nearly as fine as the cab of an engine. On top of the roll-top desk were ticket rolls, a ticket validator, and copies of the official guide and the book of rules. A Seth Thomas clock with a big round face hung on one wall. Next to it was the hoop used for passing orders to the engineer as the train passed. The telegraph sat on the ledge of the bay window, its brass keys shining in the sunlight. Mr. Dupree was a telegrapher, what railroad men called a brass pounder. Since he knew Morse code, he was the first person in town to get news from the outside world. When there was any news from the outside world. He was what Mama called dapper. He wore starched white shirts and dark suits and lived upstairs over the depot in rooms furnished by the railroad. Mama had told Lily that Miss Edna Earle had Mr. Dupree at her sights. "She's bent on marrying him," said Mama, "and wants him to move out of his rooms and into her house." Heck, fire, I'd rather live in a boxcar like Lucius than live anywhere with Miss Edna Earle. I sure wouldn't leave rooms over the depot for her, maybe not for anybody.